The race for the White House is reaching the home stretch with the final debate in the books. U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden have made their case to the American voters for the last time. Let's bring in now CNN's Karen Caifa, who joins us live from Nashville, Tennessee. Karen, thank you so much for joining us. President Trump and Joe Biden clashed over COVID-19 and race, while basically trading corruption charges in their last live TV debate.
Yeah, absolutely. But this one was a lot less chaotic than the one we saw in Cleveland a few weeks ago. And that had many, including especially Republicans, breathing a sigh of relief. And there were a few reasons for the more measured tone of last night's debate. First, the Commission on Presidential Debates, which oversees all this, Rico, they decided to put some guardrails in place. They instated a mute button during the first response by the candidates to the first question of each segment. So they had 2 minutes of uninterrupted time when the mute button was in effect, that they could not be interrupted to address each of these 6 important topics. The second was President Trump was told by advisors to maybe tone it down, let Joe Biden do the talking. Maybe he'll talk himself into a gaffe, is the way they presented it to him. And also the moderator, Kristen Welker of NBC News, is getting praise from both parties this morning for moving things along last night. So a variety of factors that contributed to a much smoother debate with less chaos, less crosstalk, and a little bit more about policy, Rico.
All right, this was the second and final debate because the second debate never materialized because President Trump had the coronavirus. What has been the reaction, Karen, to this debate? And with less than 2 weeks left before the presidential elections, who is ahead in the polls?
Yeah, well, Rico, typically the last debate of the campaign cycle is the one that leaves the greatest impact because it's the closest to Election Day. But because of the pandemic, voting has been ongoing here in the United States for weeks now. In fact, almost 50 million Americans have already voted in this election. So the impact of this final debate a little minimized this time around. Also, we're very polarized here in the United States, and so a lot of people's decisions were solidified early on. So in terms of attracting undecided voters simply through this debate that they participated in last night, the pool of undecided voters has been winnowing. So it was really a small opportunity, yet still a big opportunity to kind of try to change the trajectory of the race. And that is what's particularly important for President Trump. He's lagging behind Joe Biden in the national polls. He's trailing in some of the key battleground states that decide these U.S. elections. So he needed a big game-changing moment on the stage last night. And although many of the instant polls, the flash polls that came out after last night's debate seem to pick up that voters thought that Trump did a better job than the first debate, didn't seem to be enough. President Trump needed to overperform in this debate, and at the same time, he needed Joe Biden to underperform, and that simply didn't happen. A majority of voters in most polls found that Joe Biden was the winner, the more solid performer out of last night's debate.
All right, the U.S. presidential elections less than 2 weeks away. Everybody will be watching and waiting for that event. CNN's Karen Caifa reporting live from Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you so much for joining us.